Grand Rising, Grand Rising. This is Sean Speaks, and I am here today. Today's July 24th, 2020, and I'm just so happy to be here. It's Friday. Happy Friday. I am here with a special guest. It's not her first time on the platform, but it is her first time sharing what she does and what I would say she does so very well. And this is Kay Wolf, and she goes by the name The Folk Woman. Hey, The Folk Woman, how are you?
Grand Rising. I
Grand.
am well, Sean Speaks. How are you doing?
I am good. I am good. I'm
I'm
so glad.
excited to be here.
Thank you. So today you're going to, we're going to do something that I don't think we've ever done on the Up Talk My Life podcast. Is we've talked about meditation, I think, in one of the blog posts on Free Your Thinking Mind. I don't think I've ever actually conducted or participated, on a podcast in a meditation. And so that is something that we're going to do today in just a few minutes. The Folk Woman is going to take us through a meditation. But before we get there, I do want to kind of do a quick little introduction. I want to explain how Kay and I met. Now, Kay, we met last year, right? We were both participating in one of Lisa Nichols' Speak and Write conferences, virtual conferences, right?
Right.
And we immediately connected. It's amazing how energies connect even virtually. So let you know you don't really have to be physically present with people to connect with them.
Right.
And we've been tight ever since.
Yes. And it was actually during that event that I became the folk woman. So there's an interesting backstory there. It might be
Wow.
kind of lengthy for the brief intro. Maybe we can go more into it when
But
we kick off our conversation.
well, definitely, let us not forget because I want to hear that. You never shared that one. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay, so I do want to talk a little bit about meditation, but I want us to do the meditation first, and then we can kind of dive deeper after the meditation.
Sure.
But why should we, as people, as individuals, make time for meditation?
Meditation is absolutely essential for your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health and well being. It is harnessing the control of the focus of this great computer in our mind, right? In our brain. And one can completely reset their neurological system, their psychosomatic system, and um, quell anxieties, alleviate depression. There are many scientifically backed, proven benefits to practicing meditation.
So, no matter where you are right now, no matter what you are doing, you can take out the next few minutes and meditate with us. And so, we're going to
Absolutely.
take the next 7 minutes, and Kate, I'm sorry, the folk woman is going to lead us in a 7 minute meditation. And then after the meditation, we're going to talk about it. So I'm
Indeed.
going to get myself situated. I wish I was outside with you. I should have taken this outside and just sat in the middle of the driveway or something, but I'm inside and I'm going to meditate with you. Now, just so we can be clear, so that people who are watching now or who will watch later, there's no requirement that you have to sit a certain way to meditate, right?
There's no requirement, but the most effective way is to sit. If you're doing a sitting meditation, and we'll talk about that later, there are many different modes of meditation, but in
Mm-hmm.
sitting meditation, the most effective way is to sit with your legs crossed and your spine straight, your head straight, and your eyes gently closed, and a gentle smile on your face, and your hands in your lap. Um, there are also reclining meditations, but the idea is to sit comfortably in a way where your chi or your energy is going to be centered. So, like, this is not the best way to sit to meditate. If you want to lay down vertically with your arms and legs straight, that's also a way to meditate.
Okay. Okay. So, but for me right now, and for many people who may be at work or sitting at their desk, is sitting in a chair, sort of focused on the screen, watching and participating in the meditation practice. That's a good way of meditating as well, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, the folk woman. Lead us in a 7-minute meditation.
Beautiful. And can you hear my music? Beautiful. Namaste. I offer my voice to the divine in you. I am the folk woman. In this guided meditation, we will meditate on mindfulness. This meditation was written by my friend Om Swami at iamblacklotus.com, whose mission is to spread mindfulness and kindness to the world and to increase the happiness quotient. Breathe, smile, meditate, let go. Before we begin this mindfulness meditation, please sit comfortably. Silence your phone. Breathe gently. Keep your back straight, head straight, eyes gently closed. Wear a gentle smile on your face. Just sit comfortably. And breathe gently. Gentle exhalation, gentle inhalation. Exhale, inhale. Simply pay attention to the beautiful music playing. This time belongs to you. gentle exhalation. You have permission to relax and be present. And gently bringing your awareness back to your body. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. We will close this session. This is complete. That is also complete. From complete has emerged complete. When you take complete out of complete, what's left is also complete. You are complete. This world is complete. I hope this session of meditation was useful, and may divine grace light your path and always keep you out of harm's way. Thank you very much. Namaste. How do you feel?
I feel very relaxed. Um, Anytime I meditate or go into silence, um, it always it has a re-energizing but a calming effect on myself, just on my being, right? It's like it's almost like I've reconnected with myself again, right? Because sometimes you can get so busy and so got this to do and that to do, and just taking out, 5, 7 minutes can just refocus, but refocus your attention, refocus your beingness. It's almost like you realize, as busy as you think life really is, you really have to. This is like a control center, and I don't think sometimes we realize that we are the control center, or at least that's the way that's what, when I started to meditate, that's what started happening with me, is I started to see myself as the control center of my life, right? So even when things was chaotic on the outside of me, there was an alignment or a peace on the inside of me, that I had never really experienced prior to um, really going into what we call meditation. I don't even think when I was first doing what I now know as meditation, I just called it. I just got silent with myself,
Mm.
and so I can remember when I kind of shared that with you, last year, which is I think how we started connecting, because I'm a talker, and I just started saying I stopped talking, and
Started listening.
and I started listening, and I realized I had a lot was being said up there in my head. Um, some helpful, of course, some things not helpful. But what I did notice was I had a lot of things on repeat that I did not pay attention to, that I didn't know. And when I started doing meditation or going into silence, I started to pay attention to all of that. I found it super difficult to like just listen to the music, just breathe in and out. I found that very difficult. So
Mm.
when you're teaching people how to meditate, am I just weird, or do most people go through that experience of feeling like I can't do this?
You know, you are not alone,
Okay.
but I would tell you meditation is a muscle, it's an essential muscle,
Okay.
and or mindfulness rather. And the practice of meditating strengthens that mindfulness muscle. And I get that a lot. People say, "Oh, I want my child to try meditating, but they can't sit still for a few moments. I want to meditate, but there's no way I can sit down." Well, it's just a muscle that needs to be strengthened. I began teaching my now 10-year-old, well, she'll be 10 in September, meditation at 4.
Oh, wow.
I've worked with children and doing guided meditations with as young as 3 up to teenagers. They can do it. It's just a muscle. You know, you
It's just
show
a muscle.
them how to use it and you make it an enjoyable process. Remove the frustration element of it and realize that it's just a muscle. And if you are one of those people that are driven to anxiety at the thought of having to sit and meditate, then there are other ways to meditate to begin your meditation journey. And there are walking meditations where you simply put your hands behind your back and you look at the earth as you take each step, and your only focus is on each step moving forward. Alternatively, if you want to explore sitting meditations, you can do what we just did and start off with something short, 7-minute, 5-minute meditation, and just focus on your breathing. There are nowadays lots of tools and resources out there to make it more convenient to introduce oneself into meditation. There are apps like the Calm app, the Spark, I believe it's called Spark app, which is an app that has women, that features the voices of women of color. Shine, it's called Shine, excuse me.
Okay.
So there are tools out there to assist in the transition from, the chaotic mind, noisy mind, to strengthening that mindfulness muscle.
So let's talk about the chaotic mind, because a lot of times I think we don't realize how chaotic our mind really is until you start a mindfulness practice and you find that it's very difficult to sit there, right, or to focus. And sometimes you would want to give up because that mind is so chaotic. But it's learning how to sit still and go back to the focus despite the chaoticness of what's going on in your thought process. That was one of the things for me that I had to learn how to do was, despite the thousand things that were going on in my mind, I still would, either if I'm focusing on my breathing or if I'm focusing on a light, or sometimes, Kay, I would like find a speck on the wall and I would just stare at the speck. I literally would just spend 5 or 7 minutes or 10 minutes and I would stare at the speck. Now, granted, though, my mind was still racing. I just refocused back on the speck.
Mm,
So when you say that mindfulness is a muscle, so it's really strengthening that muscle so that when the chaoticness of life happens, you can maintain focus on maybe whatever your goals are, maybe whatever your desires are in life. So having this mindfulness practice really can be beneficial in everyday life, right?
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. It increases your ability to focus and concentrate. In addition to, helping to mitigate underlying health problems that might be coming from a chaotic mind. Um, can give you useful, it can strengthen skills that you might already have for focus and attention, or it can provide you with those skills if you don't have that focus, attention, and discipline, so that you can improve your life and concentrate. If you're doing studies, if you're a student, um, mindfulness meditation can increase your ability to mitigate stress from being in school, can also increase your ability to focus on subject matter. If you're studying and, sit down for 20, 25 minutes at a time and focus without being mentally distracted.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And same with work. And if you're working and you find yourself, you have a type of job that requires you to be more disciplined, more self-starter, being able to control your mindfulness and control your awareness will allow you to sit down and do that task, sit there for 30, 40 minutes, focus on that one task and get it done, take a little break, and then, move on to the next thing. Mindfulness.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
No, so when you're doing mindfulness, then you're really not, it's more so of a focus control. Like you're really just sort of trying to focus on whatever it is that you said for that 5 minutes or 10 minutes that you're going to focus on, whether it's breathing in and out, whether it's listening to music, whether it's like I do, focusing on some dot on the wall or some light. It's being able to, no matter what goes on your mind, redirect yourself back to that focus point, right?
Yes. Even Olympic athletes that, for instance, gymnast, when, um, what's our girl's name? I'm drawing a blank.
Uh,
Keep wanting to say
Gabby, Gabby, no.
Gabby's a good example. When she's on the balance beam,
Mm-hmm.
that's moving meditation. Because if
Mm-hmm.
she's not completely, if her focus isn't 500% on that tiny, is it 3 inches, 4 inches? She's having an accident. No matter what racing thoughts might be happening in her mind, she has to focus on the beam. And I was having this conversation with a dear cousin of mine last night. She came to me for help because she was having a moment of racing thoughts. And I said, the idea is not to eliminate the thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
but to bring the focus and awareness to a central point, right? A drishti. And I gave her a visual. Imagine that she's a tree planted by the river, rooted deep in the ground. And you're going to have a river going by the tree. And along this river, you're going to have leaves floating by. Those are the thoughts. And the idea is not to dam up the river and try to stop those thoughts, but just let them go. Observe them, but don't attach to them and be stuck on focusing your attention on all the thoughts. Just observe. And the real focus of what's going on is focusing on being the tree that is deeply rooted by the river.
That imagery is absolutely beautiful, and powerful, because that is definitely something that I found to be true about meditation, about that silent time. Was that when I first started, doing it, it was more so me trying to fight my thoughts. It's me trying to dam the river, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
stop these thoughts. I don't want to think these thoughts. Then I went from fighting the thoughts to an allowance practice, right? it was amazing how, that crazy thought came to mind, right? I wouldn't say that crazy thought. It would be just a thought that came. And what I started to notice is just as much as that thought came, it would go, right? And it's like that thought came and it would go. And even when I had, let's say, worry thoughts, those nagging thoughts that just keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. But when I started my meditation practice and I started to look at them, and as your perfect analogy, as leaves flowing down the water, down the river, I realized if I just know that I am the tree firmly rooted and planted, that I am the center, and those thoughts are going to pass, right?
Mhm.
And I could just let those thoughts go.
Exactly.
And there's a sense of power that comes within you from knowing that the outside isn't really controlling you, right?
Right. Unless you, the only thing that controls you is whatever you give authorization to.
Mm. Now
So no matter,
you're gonna have to unpack that.
no
The only
matter
thing
what's
that
going,
actually controls you is what you give authorization to.
yeah, yeah. No matter what's going on outside you or in your physical body, how you respond to it is a choice. And nothing can affect you or make you think a certain way unless you give it authorization to run that program. Um, Good example, sometimes I will be outside in nature and I feel drops. It's like, okay, it's starting to rain. And then I'll see people scurry, run, and panic over water coming out of the sky. It's not toxic, right? And in that moment, one has a choice. I have a choice. I can let these unexpected drops affect my physical movement or my mood or my heart rate, or I can choose to maintain my heart rate where it was, keep my mood elevated at where it was, and adapt.
Mm.
Do I have an umbrella? Yes, I brought my umbrella. Or do I have an umbrella? Nope. Okay. Where's cover? Is there cover nearby? Go to cover. So mindfulness helps expand that space between stimulus and response.
Mm. It's almost like you're saying too, though, that mindfulness allows you to see life or reality or whatever's in that moment for what it is. And you don't allow it to necessarily worry you. You assess it, see how you want to respond to it, right? And, and then you can use that as data for maybe something for the future. But in that moment, it's raining on you. And you just have to accept it. If you don't have an umbrella, until you get to whatever that shelter is, you're going to get wet
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to stress out about it. Right.
Right.
Right. And then you can, when you get to shelter or the next day, whatever comes, and you can say, okay, you know what? I'm going to start keeping an umbrella if that's what you choose to do. Right. But
Right.
you have to assess the current situation for what it is. So mindfulness allows you not to fight your reality. And I think that that is so true because I think for me, at least in my experience, that's what mindfulness did. I didn't realize how much the folk woman. I didn't realize how much I was fighting,
Mm.
resisting my own reality. And when I stopped fighting, when I stopped resisting, and I was able to see the brown leaf flow down the river. The red leaf flow down the river, right?
Right.
But it also, I was able to see the green leaf flow down the
Mm.
river. You know what I'm saying? And it allowed me to pay attention to what was happening,
Your
but now
awareness expanded.
expanded. And then all of a sudden, I realized, wait a minute, there's a purple leaf. I never saw that before, right? So
Mm.
it not only made me more, it not only calmed me, it made me more aware. I was able to see things that I never saw before. And I'm like, how did I not see that? Wasn't that always there? Wasn't it always like that? But I became more aware. So it expands. So going through or participating or engaging in some form of a meditation practice actually expands you and strengthen you, right?
Absolutely.
Now, what is the difference? I grew up, I'm a Southern girl, right? You're a Southern girl too, right? I think your family's from Mississippi.
Well, my parents were, yes, my parents are from Mississippi. I spent, but my mother spent summers up north, and I spent a lot of my formative years outside of DC, the
Gotcha.
suburbs of Virginia, or
Well, I'm a
suburbs of
Southern
DC.
girl. I'm a Southern girl. I was raised as a Christian, and I was a huge, huge prayer warrior, I would call myself, right? But what I would like to know is what is the difference between prayer and what we call meditation, or what we call prayer and what we call meditation? What's the
Mm,
difference? Or is there a difference?
that's a good question. Prayer is from a Christian standpoint, prayer is the conversation that one might have with the divine, with God. And prayer can look like talking, and prayer can look like lamenting, prayer can look like begging, but it essentially, yeah, and prayer can also look like a recitation of a prayer that is, for instance, the Lord's Prayer. It's in the Bible. And that's more of a having a conversation with an external being. It is, you're still in your thinking, in your processing mind. It's not in the, it's not a internal conversation with yourself. It's not bringing awareness here. It's putting awareness and focus out externally. So meditation can look like the recitation of hymns or mantras. However, in that recitation of hymns and mantras in a meditative context, the focus is to bring awareness home.
Mm,
So it's two different um, two different types of conversations, basically. One
okay.
is to bring awareness home, to bring your focus inward. The other is to have a conversation with a divine being external
Okay.
of you.
So to give an example, so just to help me understand, and maybe some other people that may be just being introduced to meditation and, you know, don't understand or want to know or whatever between prayer and meditation. So let's say if my prayer is, you know, let me give you I'll give you a personal example. You know, years before I would say, you know, Lord, help me make more money. That would be my prayer, right? Something like that. You know, oh Lord, bring prosperity to me, or something. Just something, asking that outside source for something. Whereas my meditation mantra could be, yeah, and I think you actually shared this mantra with me. From this moment forward, I invite, unlimited abundance into my life. What's the difference between the, those, that one being prayer and that one being sort of a mantra that you meditate on? What's the difference? If
That's
there
a really
is,
good
there may not be.
question. That's a really good question. And it depends on application. I know that um, the Sufis give up prayer in a meditative dance, a sacred meditative dance.
Mhm.
And one of the ways that they give up prayer to the divine. If your prayer to God is, praying about money, and if it's done in a way that is that the I guess how would I put this, that the brain receives it in the same way that your recitation of affirmations, like if your brain gets into that like kind of hypnotic suggestive state, then in that application they are similar. That prayer is a meditation. A prayer can be a meditation.
So what would be the thing that would cause you not to have your brain sort of receive that prayer in that sort of, I think you said hypnotic type state? What
In
would
a
be the
hypnotic
thing
type
that is
state,
a barrier to that?
if it's just, gosh, I'm trying to think of how to put this.
Don't be nice, just say it.
If the way that you're doing it, if the way you're praying is if like you're visualizing God sitting before you and you're just talking like, I really need money, can you please put money in my bank account? um, uh, that is not meditation, that's conversation. um, I'm bringing in abundance, I'm calling in abundance. Divine being, God, I ask for your guidance in creating an abundant flow of money in my life. That's it's more of an internal. It's still having a conversation, but it's that's a
It's the
tough
inner.
question.
It's the inner. Well, no. I think that you're answering it, but it sounds like it goes back to that analogy that you gave with you knowing that you are planted and rooted, right? That you are a part of what it is, of what life is. You are life, right? And that those,
Absolutely.
and that
Interconnectedness.
river, and that those thoughts are things that pass by, right? They are a part of you, but they are not you, right? And so it's knowing that you're connected. And once you kind of know that how connected you are, then that sort of in, invokes this power of of life that you have in yourself, and of in your presence in this space, right? So it sounds like it's a knowing of yourself, and so you're having that inner conversation with yourself because you know that you are a part of, right?
Right.
You are rooted in, um, as opposed to that begging, or that, I think you use the words, the talking or lamenting or the begging. It's not as if something outside is going to bring that answer in. It's you connecting to what is, and you becoming and knowing that you are a part of it all, right?
Absolutely.
So it's that oneness. I think that's what you start to begin to really see, that you are really connected to everything. right?
Absolutely. And that's one of the benefits of meditation is when one operates from a place of centeredness in their being and their
Hmm.
essence, then one's better able to self-care, you know, themselves. That's kind of redundant, but
Yeah.
one's better able to self-care. And in that, they're able to assist in the empowered existence of other beings in their surroundings, because we are all connected.
All connected.
We're all connected. I often talk about my neighbors. You can hear them, my feathered and my scaly neighbors and my um, furry neighbors. And I've taught my daughter this at a very early age, that we are all interconnected. What we do affects them, and what they do affects us. Um, and then you've got, your human neighbors. Bringing yourself to a state of constant centeredness means when you are driving out on the roads that you share with other humans, someone makes a mistake, they made a mistake, and you have a choice. Being in your centeredness, you have a choice to operate either from reaction or response.
Mm.
So, being in centeredness, you have that space of time from the stimulus to how you respond. You know, this is a reaction, stimulus reaction. Something happened, I'm just going to flip someone the bird, yell, curse, freak out, road rage, right? Centeredness allows you to observe that happened. Is anyone in danger? Is anyone unsafe? Is anyone hurt right now? No. Okay. How do I want to respond?
Mm. So the more centered you are, the more you, when life happens, you don't, you're not operating from a reactivity mode. You're operating from a response mode. And when you operate from a response mode, it is because you know that you're in control, you're rooted, you're planted, and you can properly choose how to respond to something. And I think for us, a lot of us, in anyway, we're very trained or conditioned to be very reactive.
Mhm.
And when you react, you're there's no control there. Whereas when
Right.
you respond, you're taking responsibility, right? And it's not that you're saying that somebody cutting you off is your fault. It's not your fault that they cut you off, but you've been cut off now.
Right. It
Right?
happened. It's reality.
It's
So,
reality.
how are you going to respond? Are you going to let your body tense up? I mean, you might naturally tense up for a moment, but are you going to keep holding that tension to where you're increasing your blood pressure, increasing your or restricting blood flow to your heart, and increasing the tension? Are you going to hold on to it, or are you going to respond and let go? And I truly believe mindfulness meditation is essential key to that. I will tell you, I learned meditation early on as a child. However, it wasn't until I studied with a Shaolin grandmaster, Shaolin Kung Fu grandmaster from the Shaolin Temple in China,
Mm-hmm.
I learned to incorporate Tai Chi. I studied Tai Chi with him, and I incorporated moving and breath with the practice of mindfulness. And for me, that completely rewired my neurological system. I was diagnosed with epilepsy, I want to say about six, about 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 7 years, 6 or 7 years ago. And I was on very heavy medication to control simple partial seizures. And I also had a rare issue of sleep apnea, but it was central apnea. It wasn't like the physical obstructed sleep apnea, but my brain would stop communicating. My autonomic nervous system would stop communicating between the brain and the lung. So, like I stayed at Emory University for 3 nights and they did a sleep study. I had a bunch of electrodes hooked to my brain, and they showed that over a dozen times throughout the night, my brain would just stop telling my lungs to breathe. And through incorporating movement, mindful meditative movement that's Tai Chi with the breathing, and also doing sitting Zen meditation, I've been able to heal that ailment, as well as with the support of my um, neurologist and doctors, wean off of that really heavy anti-seizure medication.
That is amazing. And that's the power of being centered within yourself and
Mhm.
knowing that that divine is within you, and connecting with that divine within you. And one
Absolutely.
of the best ways of connecting with that divine is to connect with the power that flows in and out, which is why connecting with the breath is so important, right? One of the things, and I know it's going to sound really crazy, and it's probably funny too, is that when I first started, meditating, especially once I got into sort of the breath meditating, right? Um, it was like, okay, breathe in and then breathe out, and I was like, wow, the the moment I breathe, in is the next moment I breathe out. It's a flow, and I connected life to a flow, but in a more aware way, right? It's not like
Mm.
I became more aware of the flow of life, right?
And when
Because
you
life is
in,
flowing in me. Mhm.
right, when you increase that awareness of the self, it increases your sense of sovereignty over
Mhm.
yourself. You increase your control of your thoughts, your words, your actions. Um, it is I truly believe mindfulness meditation is not only a radical form of self care, but it is a form of decolonization. It is a revolutionary political act to get control of your mind, to be aware of yourself, your whole self. Because in that, you are no longer easily swayed by what you might see, a stimulus you might see on a screen from your phone or from your television screen or in front of your computer. Um, and you're not, if one is not easily controlled and easily swayed, one becomes their own sovereign being. And that can't be readily controlled or governed by a political body or
Wow.
political power.
You just said a lot.
I know.
I mean, we could have. You really know. You really, I'm gonna be mindful of time today, but there's gonna be a part two. We have to do. We actually really need to do a master class on what you just said, and offer it as a master class and go deeper there, because you just said a mouthful. You said it's a tool against, or that can help against decolonization. I'm gonna have to go back and be like, okay, I'm gonna have to write exactly what that flow, because that was powerful. But I don't have time to unpack that on this session, because I think that that's a session that we need to go deeper on, right? Because I think you're absolutely correct. Because when I think about, a lot of the changes that has occurred in my own personal life, it came sort of, now looking back at it, as a result of me becoming more aware,
Mm.
first of myself, just, trying to do something a little different, but then of of life, And it's literally like if there was a stream, right? And I was connected to the stream, and I was happily connected because I didn't even really know I was connected, right? But it was like when I became aware, I saw the stream. And the more I became aware of the stream, the more I realized, well, what's controlling the other end of the stream that I'm on? And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
And I clipped it. And when I clipped it, I became more sovereign in myself.
We're handing
And
out red pills today on Sean Speaks.
yeah, it's like, and I don't even know if we were even planning on going this deep, but to me, you just said a lot, and like I said, we're gonna do a master class on that. I want you to, we're gonna come back and do a private master class. We're gonna just invite, you know, it's gonna be, by invite only, and we're
I'm
gonna
here
go
for it.
deeper. We're gonna go deeper in that because I think that you just raised something that may be the cure to some of our issues, right? Because I will say for me, and I think you probably would agree, I stopped complaining when I cut the cord,
Mm.
right? Because I didn't look at life as if somebody was actually controlling me. I saw myself as that tree planted, you know
Sovereign being.
as a sovereign being. Wow.
Absolutely.
Hey, the folk woman, where can, because I do want to throw this out though before we close up. You did a meditation, then you followed it up with a dance, and I think
Mm.
it was about a week ago now, right? I want to say it was on a Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
but I could be wrong on the day.
Yes.
But I'm gonna tell you how that night went, right? You send me a text because I always tell you anytime you do something, let me know, notify me, link me, because I like to be very, very supportive. And I like, to participate in your meditation. So your voice is very soothing to me, right? But you
Thank
sent
you.
me something at night, said, hey, I think you either sent it to me or whatever. And I got on it and I did your meditation. And then after you finished the meditation, you went into this dance. So I went from doing the meditation, sort of laying straight in my bed, to you went into a dance, and I got up and I found myself just all, just dancing. And after I finished, I was so zen, so relaxed in myself. I
Mm.
went to sleep and it was such great. I rested, right?
Mm.
It was a deep rest of connection. Like I woke up really refreshed and ready to go. And so if I'm not mistaken, you are actually going to be doing your meditation and maybe with the dance thing at least twice a week, right? On your Facebook.
Yes. So thank you for asking. And it's really interesting. I actually started my first live stream meditation on Facebook when we met at the 2019 uh, Speak and Write Encore, Lisa Nichols Encore. And before that, I had started well, I recorded a couple of meditations on YouTube, just playing an audio track from my friend Om Swami. And I had my back to the camera, and I did it outside on my deck, because being outside, just simply being outside, is one of the best self-care things that someone can do. The simplest and easiest self-care that someone
Mm.
can do is go be outside in nature. So I showed it to a dear friend of mine, Queen Carla, and she watched the video and she said, "You look beautiful. The scene's lovely, but we need to see your face." And what a lot of people don't know about me is I have extreme stage fright. Meditation is my superpower. It gets me through stage fright, right? So she said, "We need to see your face." And because when you meditate, because I've meditated with Carla before, with Dr. Queen Carla, she and I studied Tai Chi together, and she said, when you meditate, your face just embodies piece, and people need to see that. And also use your voice. I don't like this guy's voice. I'm sorry, he's sweet. He's like, I don't like his voice. I want to hear your voice. You have a very soothing, hypnotic voice. And I was getting compliments at work. I retired from being a remote technician. So I was helping people over the phone connect with their home network issues, home network connection issues. And I got a lot of compliments at work, and my voice became this de-escalation tool where people would hop on the phone on 110 and I'd start talking. They'd be like, oh, this is not the conversation that we're going to have. Oh, I could be calm. Oh my God, your voice is great. You're in the wrong line of work, ladies. And that helps to affirm what I felt this like universal calling to do. And when you and I met at this 3-day virtual, is a mixed virtual and physical retreat, during that event, I became the folk woman. And I decided on folk stands for focus on loving kindness. And I chose folk because I'm the great great granddaughter of a Choctaw medicine woman. So I incorporate in some of my teachings radical self-care that has to deal with healing herbs and roots and fruits and vegetables. So the folk woman was born. And the special approach to mindfulness meditation and radical self-care became a thing in my life. It became a thing that I'm constantly writing about. I have a little notebook where I write recipes. I started writing and collecting meditation scripts. I was moved to perform my first guided meditation live in the private attendee Facebook group. And it was an inner peace meditation. And I posted that on my IG as like a throwback, an oldie but goodie, you know. And my Instagram handle is The Folk Woman, really simple. And that was the first time that I'd ever conducted a live stream meditation, the first time I'd ever conducted a meditation in front of a group of people and showed my face and used my voice, and it was magical. There was a moment during the meditation where I said, you know, inhale gently and imagine a green ball of glowing light. And when I said inhale, this huge gust of wind, it was like 0 wind day, right? This huge gust of wind just comes in and blows stuff around, blows the paper. And I was like, okay, this is the universe saying, you're on the right track, kid. After that, I professionally recorded my first, professionally recorded and had it professionally mixed, my first audio meditation. And you can download that today at thefolkwoman.com. It's free. Just pop in your email address. I don't spam. And then I started recording live meditations online after that. So there, currently I'm doing a biweekly cycle. So every other week I'll do 2 meditations. I'll do a Thursday sunrise meditation and a um, Sunday evening meditation.
Wow. Well, let me tell you, meditation is one of those things that you're going to think that it's not working. Like, what am I doing? This is kind of woo woo. And then one day you just adjust. It's like life change, like you change, right? It's like you shift is probably the better, right? It's like you, oh, this is not working. What I'm doing is for okay. I'm just gonna be, committed. I'm gonna do it. And then one day you sort of rise above who you were, right? Not that you something was wrong with who you were. It's just you become so much more aware of what's around you that it grows you, right? And it can literally happen like that, right? Or it seems like it happens like that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's just a commitment to find that centeredness. So The Folk Woman, I want to thank you for sharing what meditation is and how beneficial it is for us to engage in it. And I do want to bring you back, or we have some type of private master class where we talk about how it will help in the decolonization of our minds and our thoughts. Because I think that that's powerful. But right now, I'm just gonna let that just sit out there, let that simmer a little bit.
The revolution's happening in the first eye.
The first side.
Hmm.
Now, before we end, the chakras, can you just kind of briefly point out the different chakras, and then we'll end with that.
That's a whole nother masterclass. um, so your chakras start at, well, that's a whole nother
Well, why don't we do this? Let's do this. We could say
section
it's
of
another master
meditation.
class. Let's just the eye, the third eye in meditation.
First eye.
First eye.
Yeah,
And
it's developed before these two.
before these two.
Yeah, in utero, the first thing that is formed is the brain, right? Your eyes aren't fully formed. They are the um, accessory. They're accessories.
So, okay, even though the first eye is formed, we usually because others help raise us, we focus more on these two eyes until you reconnect back with or become aware of your first eye. And does meditation help to awaken or open that first eye?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I think that one of the things I want to talk about in some of our upcoming masterclass we just committed ourselves to doing is talk about the benefits of opening that eye through meditation. Wow.
Absolutely.
This has been wonderful. This is a great little lunch break for on a Friday.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, the Folk Woman.
My pleasure,
Happy
LaShawn.
Friday.
Happy
Happy
Friday.
Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Ashe, free thinkers. Ashe, may what you say manifest in your life today and every day. And again, if this is your first time tuning in to Up Talk My Life podcast, this is Sean Speaks. I also do a blog, a written blog that you can find at freeyourthinkingmind.com. And just check us out. Ashe. Happy
Namaste.
Friday.